Shit That I Knit is a knitwear company based in Boston, founded by Christina Fagan, who is my mentor for the past 5 months. She sells a variety of products, including wool headbands, scarves, and their most famous product, the pom-pom hats for adults, and don't forget the kids too. When I was interning with Christina, I started to explore the idea of how small companies depend on outsourcing to other countries for cost and quality. Christina has been knitting her entire life since about 10 years old. She graduated from Skidmore College majoring in art history, and when she entered the real world, she hated it. In February of 2015, she took the biggest risk of her life by quitting her job and fully investing everything into Shit That I Knit. When she first started the company, it was very local. She had about 30 knitters, all in the greater Boston area, all under independent contracts. She sold 534 hats that year, but made no overall profit. I asked her if she ever felt like giving up, and she replied, "No, most companies don't make profit until year 5 or so. I didn't feel like it was a failure just because I didn't make profit. The company was overall doing well, and I felt like people wanted the hats." This past year, she decided to move her hat productions to Peru, where local knitters knit the hats. She used a company called Green Design Link to organize and pay all the knitters. Including the yarn, knitting, quality control, and shipping, each hat is $19. This knitting community changed these women's lives in Peru. Although they did not make a lot of money, it's enough to send their children to school, pay for food, and create a steady income at home.
Well, the cost is much cheaper. The quality is much better. We use merino wool that's made in Peru, so it's all right there. The knitters are very motivated to get the work done, as it's income for their families to take care of their kids while they're working from home. And it's helping a group of women who really needs the money, so that's also why it's important to our business model and branding.
Financially, it was much smarter to move to Peru. Making a hat in the US cost $25 versus $19 in Peru. The fur pom-pom in the US cost $25 versus $4.50 in China. Overall, an American-made hat is $120 profit, while a Peru-made hat is only $95. Even though she makes less money per hat in Peru, she's able to sell more hats because of the lower price.
Peru has a really long history with textiles, with knitting and weaving. So it sort of made sense from a branding perspective to go somewhere that had that history. It's also where we got all of our yarn already, so keeping it all in place was really effective.
She guarantees free shipping for all her customers, so her company expenses include shipping, packaging, photographing, office space, legal advice, and maintaining her website. When receiving feedback from her stores, she decided to lower her prices to $125 so that she could move more product faster. This year, she sold about 80% of her hats just from October to December alone. She accomplished a 150% growth rate from last year and started to make an overall profit. In my time interning with Christina, I got to understand many different aspects of a small entrepreneur business. At the beginning, she took me around Boston and showed me all of the stores she sold her hats in. She strategically only had about 4 stores throughout Boston that sell her hats so that they are not competing against each other. It is important for a company to get wholesale orders because they are guaranteeing sales even though she sells them at $85 per hat to the stores. A huge part of Christina's brand is social media, mainly Instagram. She has been successful with getting celebrities to wear her hats and sometimes post on Instagram with them. This type of PR does volumes for her small company. Kristen Cavallari has Instagrammed multiple times in her hat. Ben Higgins and his wife Lauren Bunchell from The Bachelor love their hats too. Dakota Fanning even wrote her a thank you note, and Sarah Jessica Parker has recently followed her on Instagram. Around the holidays, it was madness. I helped by filling orders, printing labels, and packing. The last step on sending a hat out was hand sewing a button for the pom-pom to be attached to. I was very busy sewing on each button. As the holiday season passed, Christina focused on her exposure as a brand. She attended a trade show in Boulder, Colorado, and made many appointments with stores and hotels. I helped her research the stores that she should contact. Another one of my roles as an intern was researching alternatives for using real fur pom-poms. As the election was approaching, Christina started to get worried for Shit That I Knit's future. Donald Trump talked about increasing the import tax, which would greatly affect all small businesses, just like Christina's. Currently, the import tax is about 2%, and Trump has said that he wants to raise it to 20% so that he can pay for the wall on the Mexico-US border. Trump is nearing his end of his first 100 days and has not been very active on this issue that he has talked about in his campaign. although he still has 4 years in which he could accomplish this.
So there is some nervousness surrounding what Trump plans to do with tariffs and taxes with exports coming into the country. And we are a really small company, so if those are really large, it might really affect our margins and our business model. So there is some uncertainty there whether we can continue working with a country outside of the US, or we'd have to look into possibly manufacturing our goods right here in Boston or in some surrounding area.
Small business companies depend on outsourcing to other countries, and increasing the tariff tax will hurt these small companies who don't have the funds to pay the taxes. Only some people would temporarily highly benefit, but would take a huge toll on our economy. One major reason that small businesses feel the need to outsource is because America has changed. We were once a country full of factories, textile mills, during and after the American Industrial Revolution. During World War II, manufacturing was more than 1/3 of civilian jobs. It has now dropped to 8.7% in 2015. The two biggest industries that have struggled since 2000 are apparel, down by 80%, and textile mills, down by 50%, because outsourcing is so popular now.
So outsourcing is so important because in order to scale my business as a very small business owner with not a lot of funds, I need production to be really cheap, I need it to be reliable. So by going to a country like Peru where the prices are much cheaper, the work is much more efficient, and the quality is much better, it's very important to my business.
As I was spending more time with Christina, I gained insight of what she hopes for the future. Some goals she wants to fulfill are increasing the amount of wholesale orders, more events, more celebrity endorsements and collaborations, office space, and employees. She also talked about having a temporary pop-up store in New York City because her hats are so seasonal, a storefront doesn't make sense. Getting a loan to pay for more hats upfront was also something she hopes to obtain. One thing I found very interesting was that for the next year, she wants to only sell adult hats and not sell the kids' hats, headbands, or scarves. She was expanding her company too much, too fast, with the other products, and needs to focus on just hats. She also talked about adding a men's hat line too. One question I asked her if she thinks that the pom-pom hat will ever go out of style, and she replied, yes, but there will always be a need for a winter hat. The fur trend will cycle out, but I think the pom-pom hat will always stay somewhat in style. I hope I can get away with at least one more year. I have learned so much in my time interning at Shit That I Knit and how the government can impact small companies in so many different ways. Thanks for watching.